Hello, buddy. Welcome to stream today. Hope everybody's doing well today and everything's going great for y'all. Hello, buddy. Welcome to stream today. Oh, really? I left myself up somewhere. Where did I leave myself up? Did I leave? There I am. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Well, I apologize about yesterday. We were planning on doing this Dirge Cerberus stream yesterday, but kind of ran into a bit of a personal. Kind of had a few issues outside of that. Plus, my ankle started acting up on top of all that too, so I just decided to cancel that stream for the time being. And that's why we're doing it today. That's what we're doing now. So we're gonna go ahead and load up the thing, and we're gonna get into the extra missions for Dirge Cerberus. I update the game. Son of a potato. Son of a potato. Pick up the benchmark tag and there we go. There we go. Alright, let's get back into this. Recently, I've been working on the development of a virtual combat simulation program for our organization's members. Just remember, the battles you wage within this new environment have nothing to do with your command objectives. Just because you defeat a DG commander in here doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to neutralize one on the battlefield. Oh, and oftentimes you'll find that the virtual world doesn't always play by the rules you may be used to. Will probably take some time to get adapted, but this wouldn't be this wasn't a challenge, then it wouldn't be worth doing, would it? Well, you've heard enough of me. Why don't you get in there and show us what you're made of? All right. So let's get going. See if I can remember the controls. It's been like a week. I got 10 minutes to. All right. Okay, so we're going over here. Darky. Well, shit, I might die here. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna die here. There we go.
Is this
Mission failed.
the
It looks like there's a lot of extra missions. Okay. Well, now that we know where we're going, let it randomize us. Alright, good, it doesn't randomize. Got him. Alright. Get credit on. Well, shit.
Finally, rest.
Sharky. Let's go. Got shot midair. That does prove a little bit of a faster point that I can actually do that, though. Which is kind of good. I may need to look up a stats thing, because I'm not really entirely sure about how the stats work in this one.
Is this
Damn.
the end?
Well, it's based on what we got equipped. Like, can we go, like, go back into the game and, like, grind? Is it, like, just gonna load up what we already have? No, no, it's not. Like, so that's the new game plus. But if you want to go through and grind out everything that, like, you already done. Yeah, okay, that's where it kind of falls into a little bit of an issue, doesn't it? Like, I'm prove we can get this done in a sitting, but it's also one of those things where it's like, normal mode was easy. But the extra missions are designed to be hard, so... Yeah, sorry, no, we've already been through this. It's got been proven that within the menu, time does pass. Another one of those. They're even here? Okay. Alright, got the limit breaker. It's not like I can heal through it either. I'm gonna die. The level doesn't carry over. Oh wait. Torpedo. Okay. Some memory capsules that cannot be destroyed by gunfire. Alright, dealt with soldiers. Got him. Got you. Key card. Or he has knowing you're there. Damn it. Needless to say, that person survived the gunfire. Wow, there's a goal point right there. A heavily contested goal point. Two. You. Got you. Ha! Survived it. Widow Missileer. I think that one was easy compared to the other one. Like for me. Like dodge the missiles and shoot the thing. Wastelings, huh? Okay, let's see what the next bitch is. The next bitch mission is. Defeat the dual horn. Okay. All right. There'll be one behind me. I feel like I could cheese this by getting on a rock. Oh, this thing is ridiculous. I hate these. This thing is an aggravating little bastard. Well, out of ammo, okay, so apparently I haven't got that much handgun ammo. That's lovely. You aggravating bastard, stop it! Ah, bullshit. I need to heal. Red potion. 1. It's like, damn it. Ah. I guess I could legit use the rifle on him. He's a big target. Doesn't stand still long enough to do it, but... Gotta keep on moving. Keep on moving, keep on shooting. Not seeing any more, of the wolf. Not the wolves, the guard dogs. They all just gone now? I think it's so long they, it's literally like an enraged fail state. Alright, do that ammo. Woo! That took a lot longer than it needed to. That took me almost 30 minutes to kill him. Defeat 100 enemies using only magic, huh? Looks like there's a key card somewhere too. Better than nothing. Looks like there's a couple sections I could use a key card. Is it something that we need to find or something that we need to obtain? At least stun you that way. Red Aether better than nothing. Ah, cool. Now there's two of them. How freaking lovely. Well, I guess the only thing to do is to keep running away from them while also using the, okay, that's what I got right now, I guess. Please stop the attack right now. Because I need to find something that has, spirit rations, that'll work. No spirit rations? No, that's ether. We need to use that. 64 out of 100 so far. Ether, use it. $85 out of 100 so far. One. Damn it. Can't afford to be killed by Asshat McGee there. Not when we're so damn close. I got 3 more. Oh god, this ether spirit ration is still something. I need just a little bit more. I gotta blast one more first. Okay. You're charging at me, soldier, so you're gonna be the one. Damn. Okay. Alright, it's one of these style things. There. That'll be a few more guys. Oh, damn. I don't know, I kind of expect. Got him. Got him. It's like there are 3 of those bastards in there. There's 20 of those bastards in there. I'm just like... Oh, still I gotta make it through all this all the way. Yep. Yeah, I think we pretty much got the gist of this. Not gonna be too terribly long stream today. We're gonna be streaming a little bit later. Honestly, well, I thought honestly it was gonna be more than this, just a little bit. But it's just kind of like, okay, do this objective, do this objective. But let's no. I think I'm gonna go ahead and change up gears a bit here. I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick, and then I think we're just gonna switch over to maybe Final Fantasy 14 or something. I'm not sure yet. I'll be right back here shortly, though. And we're back. We switched over to Final Fantasy 14 for right now. And, we'll just do something. I'm at the point where I just don't know. Oh, damn. Well, my sinuses have been kind of bothering me today, so. Protect Clarendon. I hope that helps. But, yeah, we're gonna be doing something at this point. We're gonna be not really leveling anything. Unless to switch over to some alt stuff, maybe. As it stands right now, though, it's meh. I think one of the things we're gonna do is definitely gonna be we're just gonna mess around today. Just do this and that. Like, we might start prepping up for a solo palace run. It actually might be something we try to do. Get that necromancer title. I'm not sure. Like, I think it's about time I start working towards some long-term goals that we've been that I've been putting off. Because it's like, there are a few things in this game that I want to actually accomplish. But they are not going to be easy things to accomplish. So let's see, if you retain your attributes and gear, I need to actually change your gear. Wait, you can just take that because I'm not going to be using that. But I'll take those pants. And you can have these pants. Take those earrings back. I should have another pair of earrings I can actually just give you instead. It's not affecting your EXP gain at all, so. Pretty much think anything will increase your eye level. No, I didn't get you a weapon, did I? Still use that level 40 mithril lance, so. What you're gonna be stuck with for right now. There, glam jam. But it should allow you to do more high-end field explorations, at least up to 60. Like 235. I'd say that will just sink a little bit of money into a plans for you. Level 70, so maybe I'll buy one for cheap. It's 320, that's 385. The rocket shot lance, that's 380, 350. That'll probably be enough. That'd be a nice cheap alternative right now to kind of get that going. I was kind of vibing right now, Beast. I don't really know what I'm doing yet. So welcome in. Kind of a little bit low energy today, a little bit clogged. Okay. Still better than what they had. So. Now I can start doing the level 70s. Might. Got all those. So, we're missing a total of 14. These. We might go into Bajda and try to track these down. So we need 2 and 7. Let me pull up a thing here. Okay, so 2 is all pets are off. And 7 is Pyromancer Supreme. And then that 11. Murder, Death, Kill. 12 is got like 3 different ones you can get them from. Looks like, so that one's not gonna be got more chances. 14. With Steel and Flame. And 17 is... Okay, so I still have one more to get out of Castrum. Fuck. Third chest. If I go down this route, that's what we're going to be doing. And then the rest of them are all in Zadnor. All I need 6. No, actually more than that. The 8 from Zadnor. So, alright. If we do that, that's what we're gonna do. But, hmm. Like, entirely... On my main, I'm kind of at a point where I'm just... What I have to do, the stuff I have, like... To... Stuff I have to do is going to be quite the... Quite the time sink, either way we go about it. You know what? I'm gonna be a mad lad. Just because I'm crazy like this. And I probably won't be able to do it. No. Haha. Yeah. There may be a way to survive that, actually. Okay. Damn. So what we're seeing so far is let's see if we can pull this off. Doesn't like we'll be able to pull this off, but I'm just gonna try. Like, I really just want to play around right now. Don't necessarily want to work towards anything. Okay. I'm gonna sit here and vibe to this. Bum, 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 bum. See, part of the problem right now is like, I just gotta start the fight now. I'm actually gonna set this one up here in a little bit. He's gonna go. Burp. With that. Huh. Okay. Here comes the big boy. Holy crap, I'm still alive. How the hell am I still alive? I won't be alive for much longer. Yep, there it goes. Ah, that was actually pretty good. But it's not, I don't think it's not going to be doable either way. But I have seen part of the start of the fight at least. Kind of understand a little bit. But maybe I should watch a video on this. I took out about like maybe an eighth of his health before he killed me. Like, that physical vulnerability stack, that just ends your life. That's where a tank swap would come into play, I guess. Because, like, in this scenario, I could see a tank using their invuln, eating through it while the healers, you know, take care of it. And then go ahead and tank swap for the next guy, and then he does the whole stuff. Yeah, this is actually a nice little test, though. Nice little test. Let's check my gear there. Didn't really do too much damage, but I should. But we'll get a party finder up here in a minute. Just pretty much gonna state as a learning party. Learning party slash mount farm slash I think this unlocks the Epic of Alexander. In terms of the ultimates, I'm gonna look at that up real quick because I'm actually can't exactly remember what unlocks what here. So, FF14 ultimates unlock. I cannot spell. Ultimate raids. There are 5 as of right now. Got the Unending Coil Bahamut, the Weapons Refrain, which is Ultimate Weapon Ultimate, the Epic Alexander T, Dragon Song's Reprise, and the Omega Protocol. What unlocks the Epic Alexander, though? The Epic Alexander is Savage. Yeah, so that's that one. Dragon Song's Reprise. DSR, that one is... I unlocked DSR. I know how to do that one. DSR Asphodelos for Circle Savage. That's current content. Which means the other one is the other one is probably Abyssos, I think. Something around that. But I want to get Tiamat, so we're going to set up a little learning party. Party finder. Remember, we're going to be doing a raid. Sculpture Savage. Put it into practice, because honestly, alright. Do that. Got a party up for this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a little while. So, while we wait, I'm also going to pull up a video. We're going to watch a video on this. So, YouTube. We're just going to use an unsync guide. And see, the problem, why I don't like doing these things right out the gate.
Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Eden's Gate Sepulture Savage. This is the final new Savage difficulty encounter made available by patch 5.05 in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers.
Let me bring
Strap
this
in
up.
friends because this one's a doozy. My name is
Slap in picture. And there we go. Let's shrink this down a bit. Just put you in the center of the screen for the time being.
Viztech and I'll be your raid guide. Similar to normal mode, the platform, divided up into its 16 segments, will play a significant role in how your raid handles incoming mechanics. We begin with Stone Crusher, a tank buster that will slam the active primary target and anyone around them with 3 hits in a row, dealing high damage and afflicting them with a short physical vulnerability up debuff. Tanks can take each hit solo with an immunity or tank swap between each hit with cooldowns. There are 2 Stone Crushers in this first phase, so plan your cooldowns appropriately. Immediately after, Titan will cast Weight of the Land, which will target random sections of the platform for AoE blasts. Players must ensure they are not inside the affected squares. At roughly the same time, each player will be marked with this yellow Pulse of the Land marker. This will soon target them for an AoE attack that affects the entire square segment that player is standing inside of. The attack deals moderate damage and applies a short magic vulnerability up debuff, making it so that the attacks cannot be overlapped. As such, each player needs to stand alone in their very own square segment anytime this attack is going off. The easiest way to do this is to assign a square segment to each player relative to Titan's position, to minimize confusion and avoid overlap. This will take some practice, so keep at it. This is immediately followed by Evil Earth. Similar to normal mode, Evil Earth begins with one source square segment and then explodes any adjacent squares in succession until all of the squares of the platform have been targeted by the attack. On Savage mode, there are 2 Evil Earth source squares at the same time. Luckily, there are only 4 possible Evil Earth patterns that technically only require 2 unique ways of dodging, and players will need to immediately identify which one is happening and adjust appropriately. An easy way to break
we
this
saw
down
this
is to look
mechanic.
at the initial source square spawns. Evil Earth can either spawn in a diagonal pattern within the 4 center squares, in either orientation, or it will spawn in the 2 diagonal corners, on the far edges of the platform, again in either orientation. The movement required by the raid to dodge each attack changes depending on whether Evil Earth begins in the center or at the edges. Let's take a closer look at how to dodge when it spawns in the center. Do remember that this spawn can be mirrored, but to avoid confusion in this breakdown, I'll just show you the one possibility. If it does spawn mirrored, note that the movement is the same, just on the other side of the platform. First, let's look at the pattern of the explosion that happens when Evil Earth starts in the center. As you can see, only 2 safe spots are formed after the first 2 rounds of explosions. After the 3rd round of explosions, the center is the only safe section left. With these safe spots in mind, we can easily determine the movement necessary to stay out of each segment explosion. Players will first identify where Evil Earth is starting from and move to the outer corner segment of the diagonal opposite to the spawn. The first Evil Earth explosion will start on those markers. Players will then wait for the 2nd round of explosions that will target every square but the 2 safe segments.
Then you move
Players
inward,
will then
okay.
immediately move into the center to avoid the final round of explosions
If it's in the
on
center.
outer edge. Now that we've got that sorted, let's look at the necessary movement if Evil Earth starts in the outer corners. Again, after the initial Evil Earth explosion, the outer corners in which the Evil Earth started will be safe for the next 2 rounds of explosions. For the final round, the center is the only safe section left. To handle this pattern, players will move and stand diagonally to the initial Evil Earth spawn in the center. Once
moment
first
goes
Evil
off,
Earth
go in.
explosion goes off, all players will immediately move into that safe spot created. Here, they will wait for 2 more rounds of explosions through the center
And then
before moving
back in the
back
center.
into the center for safety. Again, the
Okay.
orientation of each Evil Earth spawn is random, but the movement only changes on whether they spawn in the middle or the outer corners. Regardless of the pattern of Evil Earth, as they're dodging explosions, players will all be targeted by these orange Force of the Land markers. With the way the timing timing works here, Force of the Land will go off immediately after the final Evil Earth explosion. You can think of this attack as the opposite of the yellow Pulse of the Land attacks. Players will need to share this damage by standing on a square segment with at least one other player or they will die. An easy way to handle this is to just have all the players dodge Evil Earth together so that they all end up on the same platform to share Force of the Land. Next up, Titan will cast Voice of the Land, which will deal high raid-wide AoE damage. As you can expect, there is a lot of healing required at this point, so be sure to use shields and raid cooldowns as necessary. This is followed by Geocrush, which will have Titan picking a square across the platform to jump to, knocking back all players a set distance from it. This is an insanely far knockback, and players will need to properly position themselves to be knocked into the farthest corner away, or they will need to use their knockback immunities. Once Titan lands, he will turn back towards the platform and begin one of two possible mini phases by changing his form into gauntlets or wheels. As he changes his form, 5 players will also be marked for the orange stack-up markers, and 3 players will be marked for the yellow spread markers. The 3 yellow markers will always target 1 tank, 1 damage dealer, and 1 healer. Let's take a look at what happens if he changes into his wheels. Similar to normal mode, Titan will destroy anyone directly in front of him and knock back players on his sides. The raid will need to make sure they're on the side of him with 2 available square sections, or they will get knocked off the platform. The yellow and orange markers go off at the same time as Titan drives across the platform and knocks everyone back. To handle this combo, we assign specific squares to each set of players to ensure everyone is pre-positioned in appropriate squares once the knockback happens. All of the orange players will stack on the square adjacent to Titan. The 3 yellow players will spread to each square next to the incoming Titan drive-by. To minimize confusion, we have any melee players prioritizing the square closer to Titan, while healers move to the furthest square. Ranged and tanks will adjust into the middle third square as necessary. Once Titan drives across the platform, all players will be knocked back in the same orientation as they originally lined up in, and the yellow and orange markers will resolve. Before moving in, players will need to wait for the blue shockwave attack that follows the massive Titan attacks. After the shockwave, Titan will immediately turn around and target the primary tank for fault line, charging back at them for high proximity base damage. To minimize damage, you'll want the tank furthest away from Titan to take this hit, and depending on which tank gets which color marker, a tank swap may be necessary to facilitate this. Once those markers come out, the tank with the orange marker can provoke. After the knockback, the primary tank can then run back in line with Titan and pop a cooldown to take the second dash damage. All other players must ensure they don't move into this line of square segments until the dash completes, or they will probably die. Immediately after this dash back to the tank, Titan will cast Magnitude 5.0, which will deal lethal damage to anyone not inside of his hitbox. At the same time, all players will again be targeted by another round of yellow Pulse of the Land markers. To handle this combo, once Titan dashes back to the tank, all players can run into his hitbox. Once the donut attack goes off, players must quickly move into their assigned squares to avoid overlap. Again, we use our assigned relative positions to Titan to avoid confusion. Once these yellow markers go off, Titan will return to his regular form and this mini phase is complete. Before we go on, let's take a look at what happens if he reforms into gauntlets instead for the mini phase. Again, 5 players will be targeted with the orange Force of the Land markers, and 1 tank, 1 damage dealer, and 1 healer will be marked with yellow. This massive landslide attack will destroy anyone not directly in front of him, and players will need to line up in the 4 squares in front to avoid death. Again, the timing of the yellow and the orange marker explosions forces players into very specific squares. The group of orange markers will stand in the same square Titan is on. The first square directly in front of him will be occupied by melee, with the healers in the 4th square, furthest from Titan. The tanks or the ranged will again be in the 3rd square as necessary. As soon as the massive landslide attack goes off on either side, all players will need to immediately move out of that line they were standing in to avoid the secondary blue shockwave attack. Next, he will cast another Voice of the Land, and healers need to be ready with their shields and heals. This is followed by Landslide, a massive cross-shaped attack in a pattern signified by the direction that Titan faces before he jumps away. To easily determine where the safe spots for Landslide are, the tanks should reposition Titan directly in the center of the room. 2 possible safe spots will form based on where he looks and he eventually lands, and all players must move into them as quickly as possible. As soon as the attack goes off, each player will need to move out of the safe spots to avoid the next blue shockwave attacks that will hit those same areas. At the same time, bomb boulders will drop around the platform in a plus and X configuration, in a random order. On top of all of that, Titan will turn back around and cast either left or rightward Landslide, which will target 1/2 of the platform. Players will first need to dodge the initial left or right Landslide, and then immediately move into that same area to avoid the next blue shockwave attack on the other side. During this time, time, the bomb boulders will begin to light up in the same sequence that they drop down in, and players will need to move into the safe boulders first, wait for the first round of explosions before moving into the next safe zone to avoid the second bomb boulder explosions. At this point, Titan will return to his normal form and this mini phase ends. Going back to that first initial Geocrush, the order that these mini phases happen in is random, so you can either get gauntlets or wheels first, followed by the resulting mechanics. Once that first mini phase is over, Titan will then cast Crumbling Down. This will target one damage dealer and one healer or tank with these orange markers. These players will soon drop a proximity-based damage marker on the ground underneath them. Eventually, a massive boulder will drop down in this area. To control where these fall, in our group we have the marked damage dealer aim to drop theirs on the A-way marker in the northwest corner, while the marked tanker healer drops theirs at the B. The entire raid will then move away from these areas to minimize damage. 2 more players will be marked and will need to drop their boulders in the same manner towards the south. Once the 2 north boulders drop down, the raid will need to move back away from the south again to minimize more damage. These massive boulders will crumble if dropped too close to Titan, and this movement and configuration of drop boulders will allow for one boulder to remain standing, which the raid will use to hide behind to avoid the incoming seismic wave attack. While all of this is happening, Titan is also bringing down 3 rows of small bomb boulders in a sequence that will explode in the same sequence they drop down on. As the group moves behind the massive boulder to avoid seismic wave, they'll need to keep an eye on the smaller boulders and how they'll explode. Immediately after seismic wave goes off, the group will need to be ready to dodge into the safe zone created by the first line of exploding bomb boulders in the center of the room. This all happens very quickly, so stay on your toes. This is followed by another Voice of the Land AoE blast to heal through. Up next, the second Stone Crusher. Be sure to immunity through it or tank swap as necessary. At this point, Titan will cast Geocrush again, jumping across the platform to a random square. Once he lands, he'll reform into whatever form he didn't do the first time, and that mini phase of mechanics will begin. Once that mini phase ends, Titan will become untargetable and the next phase will begin. In this phase, Titan Maximum appears on the north side of the platform. He cannot be moved, but his hitbox is large enough to be hit from any of the 4 quadrants of the platform. Since the enrage timer can be quite spicy, players will need to keep uptime on the boss as much as possible, regardless of what part of the platform each incoming mechanic will send them to. This phase begins with an Earthen Fury cast. This deals very high raid-wide damage. Be ready with those shields, heals, and raid cooldowns. Next up, Titan will cast Earthen Fists, powering up his fists twice. This power up can happen on one side and then the other, or twice on the same side. You'll need to keep a close eye on his
see you
actual
doing this
fists
with 2
to see
tanks.
what side lights up and in what order, and then move into the opposite sides of the attacks to avoid them. Naturally, random square segments will be covered by Weight of the Land AoEs at this time, so as you dodge to each safe side, make sure you're not inside an AoE. Immediately after, Titan will begin to cast dual Earthen Fists. This will cause a large blue circle to spawn directly in front of him that will eventually knock back all players a set distance from it. At the same time, a non-tank player will be marked by this blue Weight of the World marker. When Weight of the World triggers, anyone in the same square and any adjacent square to that attack will be hit for damage and a magic vulnerability up debuff. To minimize the impact this has on the actual platform, the player with the blue marker can run all the way to the far south corner so that their Weight of the World footprint only affects the 4 squares of that particular quadrant. To handle all of this while the knockback is happening, I would highly recommend saving your knockback immunity during the second Geocrush in the first phase to have it available for this. This allows for minimal movement and gives tanks the opportunity to pre-position for the incoming slashing tankbuster AoEs. The blue Weight of the World player is the only player that will have to move during this time as they move into the far corner to minimize the size of their explosion. After the knockback, both tanks are targeted by Earthen Anguish, a massive circle AoE tankbuster. The tanks need to make sure they're far enough away from each other and the group to avoid overlap. Immediately after, a tank will be marked for Megalith with this stack up marker. This damage is significant and must be shared by both tanks with cooldowns. The damage can only be split between 2 people, so make sure only the tanks are stacking for this attack. Up next is Tectonic Uplift, which will cause 2 diagonal quadrants of the platform to be raised up. It's possible to jump from a raised platform to one below, but movement between the quadrants is otherwise impossible. As the platforms are being marked for Tectonic Uplift. One tank or healer and one damage dealer are marked with blue Weight of the World markers. These players will need to take their markers to the far corners of the lower quadrants to minimize their explosion impact. The rest of the group will split into two, with the damage dealers moving onto the north race platform, while the other tanks and healers move onto the south race platform. As soon as the Weight of the World markers go off on the lower quadrants, Weight of the Land AoEs will appear in random pattern. While the exact location of each Weight of the Land AoEs is random, one of the lower quadrants will always have 3 safe segments, while the other only has 2 safe segments. Immediately after, the players on the race platforms will each be marked with a blue, a yellow, and an orange marker. The blue markers will stay on top of the raised platforms, moving to the far corners to take the hit and minimize their explosions. Players with yellow markers will need to move into the specific lower quadrant that has 3 available safe segments and stand on their own segment to avoid overlapping the yellow explosions. In this specific quadrant, you have 1 segment targeted by Weight of the Land, 1 segment for the original blue marker player, and 2 segments for the incoming yellow marker players. The players with the orange markers will meet on the specific lower quadrant that only has 2 available safe segments. They'll both stand in 1 segment to share the damage of the orange marker. This specific lower quadrant has 2 Weight of the Land segments, 1 segment for the original blue marker player and 1 segment for the 2 orange markers to share. All of these attacks go off at the same time, and players must be in each of their assigned spots to avoid death. At this point, all players can move into the middle to continue their attack on Titan. Earthen Fury is cast here, and healers need to be ready with their shields, heals, and raid cooldowns. Once Earthen Fury goes off, the platform will be returned to normal. Next up, Rock Throw will target the 2 healers for jails. These healers will need to move pretty far away from each other, otherwise the jails will be impossible to kill, Titan will get buffed, and you will die. While the healers are getting ready to be jailed, Titan will cast Plate Fracture, which will target one of the 4 quadrants for destruction. All players can look at this wind-up attack to see which side of the platform he is targeting first, and then move into the opposite side. The healers can move north and south here, and then adjust to the left or right as necessary to drop their jails in an area that isn't about to get immediately destroyed. At this point, the healer jails will fully form, and the first Plate Fracture will occur on either the north or south quadrant on the telegraph side. If he targets the north quadrant first, the next Plate Fracture will also target the remaining north quadrant. If he targets the south quadrant first, the next fracture will for sure target the other south quadrant. As such, the raid will need to break out the healer jail on the breaking side first, before breaking out the other healer. After the second Plate Fracture occurs, Titan will wind up again and destroy a 3rd platform. The raid can quickly look at his wind-up animation again and move to the opposite quadrant to avoid death. All of this is followed by another Earthen Fury cast. Mitigate and heal through this damage as necessary. The platform will then again be reformed. Next, Titan will cast Tumult and slam the platform 5 times for raid-wide damage. Heal through this as necessary. This is followed by another dual Earthen Fists, which is handled in the exact same manner. Use knockback immunities, bring the blue marker to a far corner, and have the tanks spread and pop cooldowns for the tank busters. Immediately after, the boss will cast another Earthen Fist, powering up his fist twice, and a single evil earth marker will appear on the platform. This combo has a bit of randomness to it based on which fists are powered up and where the evil earth actually starts from, so be sure to move to the opposite fist side and then dodge into the evil earth AoEs as they grow while avoiding the second fist attack. This movement may seem hectic, but with practice will come quite easily. This leads us into a second and final Tectonic Uplift mini-phase. This time, 4 players will be immediately marked by orange markers. We have these players all move into the south rising quadrant, stacking together in 1 square segment, while unaffected players move into the north rising quadrant. As soon as the platforms raise up, the 2 healers will be targeted for jails again. They'll run into the corner of their assigned segment to drop their jail. All other players will have their own relative segment assignments as well, with melee and tank players getting priority of the segments closer to Titan. Once these healer jails drop, each player on each platform will break them out, ensuring they stick to their assigned segments. While this is happening, everyone will be targeted for yellow spread markers, including the healers inside the actual jails. But since we're all in our assigned segments already, there isn't really much to adjust. Next, 2 more blue markers will appear, and we have these players move laterally to the far corners of the lower platforms to drop off their explosions. At the same time, Way to the Land AoEs begin to target segments on the lower platforms. This time, one of the lower quadrants will have 2 open safe spots, while the other one only has 1. Immediately after, 2 more blue markers go out, and those players will stay on their raised platforms and move to the far corners to minimize their explosions. The remaining 4 damage dealers will be marked by orange, and they'll need to move into the lower quadrant that has the 2 available safe spots. They'll stand together in the one segment to share the damage. Once all of these explosions occur, players can move back into the center to mitigate and heal through the next Earthen Fury. Another 5 tumults will cast here, so be sure to keep those heals and shields up. Next, another plate fracture combo will begin. Identify which side he is destroying first, and then move into the opposite side to avoid death. Tanks will then need to share another megalith stack up with cooldowns. Make sure the rest of the group stays well enough away from them. After the tank buster, the boss will continue plate fracture. Check his wind up animation to see what side he's destroying next. He will always destroy the platform adjacent to the first one, so make sure you move out of the way appropriately. This leaves us 2 quadrants to handle the next combo of markers. At the same time, 1 player will be marked by blue, 3 players will be marked for yellow, and everyone else will have orange. The exact positions for everyone can be changed based on which orientation of the quadrants you're left with, but the basic idea remains the same. The blue marker is always taken to the far corner so that the explosion only affects the single quadrant. This allows everyone else the 4 segments of the other quadrant to handle yellow and orange. Orange will all stack together in one segment, while the 3 yellow players fan out in the segments around them. These attacks all go off at the same time, so make sure you're in the appropriate segment or you will die. Titan will then cast Earthen Fury and the platform will return to normal. Make sure you mitigate and heal as necessary. At this point, Titan will cast Orogenesis and spit out Baby Titan back onto the platform. This marks the beginning of the final phase. Titan Maximum will no longer be targetable, but he'll still be throwing out tons of mechanics. Once OG Titan can be targeted, he'll cast yet another Earthen Fury. In this phase, Earthen Fury will also apply a pretty spicy dot that lasts for 12 seconds. This is immediately followed by a set pattern of Way to the Land AoE spawns around the platform. These weights will begin to explode in a clockwise manner on both the outer edge and the inside 4 segments for a total of 5 explosions. While these weights are moving in their clockwise rotation, the tanks and healers will be targeted by orange markers, and the damage dealers will each have a yellow marker. The goal here is to satisfy the requirements of each marker while also dodging the Way to the Lands as they rotate around the platform. This can be handled in a number of ways, but I'll focus on how our groups do it. As soon as the weights spawn, we have our 2 ranged players move to the outer segments. They'll follow behind their weights as they move around the outer edges, making sure to stay in their own segments alone.
Okay, so yeah, that looks pretty spicy, not gonna lie. I had a party recruitment because nobody was joining it. Nobody was joining. It's been about like almost 30 minutes. So, yeah, we'll find something else to do, I guess. So, I don't know anymore. I think it's gonna end for today. We'll be back a little bit later with Bloodstained Ritual Tonight. We're doing it in hard mode, so I hope everything goes well with it. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll end up talking to you all then.